book besties, and welcome back to another video. Today we are going to talk about all the books that I read in June. Now I'm very happy with my June reading because in May I read 3 books. I just could not focus that month on books very well. However, in June I read 7, which I think is really good for me. So yes, very happy about that. So let's get straight into it and talk about the books. First of all, I read Love Points to You, and this is about Linda, who gets the opportunity to be a character designer for an Otomi game, hopefully I said that correctly, from her fellow classmate Angela, who she may or may not have a bit of a crush on. As well as this, Linda is dealing with some changes. Her dad has recently got married to her now stepmother. She now has a stepsister as well. They have moved houses. She really wants to get into, I wrote it down, Rhode Island School of Design. However, the family hasn't got any money to spare to go to her because they are spending it all on her stepsister's, Josie's, violin lessons. This has a sexual rep in it, which I think is fantastic because we need more books with a sexual rep going on. So I gave this book 3.5 stars. The first half I really enjoyed. I was really enjoying it. I was enjoying reading about Linda and Angela's dynamics, and something I also really liked was Linda and Josie's dynamics, like figuring out how they slot together as sisters now. I'd say, even though this was advertised as a romance book, it was more about family dynamics, you know, about Linda and her dad, Linda and her stepmom, Linda and her stepsister, her figuring out her place within the family as well. And it just felt in the second half that Linda's character suddenly changed a lot. Some parts became quite unlikable. I don't want to spoil anything, and then everything kind of concluded too quickly, which is why it's a 3.5 star for me. I did enjoy finding out about the family, but it was meant to be a romance book. So yeah, that's my little review for it. So next up is Zoe Brennan, First Crush, and I read this on audiobook. So this is about Zoe and her dad who run a vineyard. He is the lead vintner. However, he gets called back to Italy because his mother is really unwell, and this has fallen at the same time that Zoe is trying to win a massive wine festival that is coming to town. She has a rival vineyard who are competing for it too. If she gets this festival, it will be absolutely amazing for her business. But her dad says, don't worry, I have hired another vintner. Who is it? It is her first ever crush, Lane. And they clash. They clash pretty instantly. And they had maybe a bit of an awkward thing happen the night before. Yeah, this was good and really good. Queer representation as well, and queer found family. Next up is Blind Date with a Book. Not the package you buy where it is a random book. The book is actually called Blind Date with a Book, and I read this on audiobook, and this is about Molly Bramble, who has a canal boat in Oxford that is also a bookshop. However, her bookshop is really struggling. The mooring fees are about to go up. She doesn't know what to do. So she sets up a date night, a blind date with a book. Books are wrapped up with a little description on, and you have to find the person who matches you, which sounds really cute. However, the person that she ends up matching with, they clash instantly. He doesn't understand any of her literary references. She just decides she doesn't like him. What happens the next day? He literally crashes into her boat, and he is opening up a wine barge, which she sees as competition. Give this one 2 stars. I really love the concept of this book. Like, a book boat sounds fantastic. I know that they have one in London that I really want to visit one day. And also, this is a Pride and Prejudice retelling, and I usually enjoy those. However, I just found Molly really unlikable. So she doesn't like Jake, who crashed into her boat, which, you know, you wouldn't like him. However, he makes so much effort with her to help her, to be her friend. And she is just suspicious of him all the time. She believes bad things that she's told about him instantly, even though these things don't align with the character that he is showing. And when they, you know, do finally get together, we don't see much of their romance at all. And I think maybe if their romance had started a little bit earlier on in the book, then I don't know, it would have just been nice to see how they worked together as a couple. But it was just always Molly being suspicious of him, not liking him, not like in a fun enemies to lovers type way, but in a way that kind of felt mean. Yeah, so I don't know. It's probably just me. I wanted to love this book so much, but it's not the end of the world. Next up is The Whole Truth, and I gave this 4.25 stars. I read this digitally and as a buddy read. So this is my first Haley Cass book. I really enjoyed it, and it is about two country music stars, Juliet and Darcy, who are just instant like rivals. Instant rivals. Juliet decides that she dislikes Darcy after she won an award. There's some jealousy going on. Their rivalry becomes viral, so viral that people want them to sing together. And when they, you know, sing together, sparks fly. This was just so good. And Darcy is ADHD and has dyscalculia. I haven't seen like dyscalculia representation in a book before, so that was something I really enjoyed. They really were rivals to lovers though. Like these two did not like each other at all at the start. The only reason it wasn't a 5-star read for me was because it was 600 pages, I think, but the ending was really rushed. So many new things were introduced towards the end of the books that I just would have liked them wrapped up a little bit more, or those to be introduced earlier on in the book so that they could have been wrapped up nicely, because there were some really interesting things right at the end of the book, but it was like in the last maybe 10%. Yeah, so it can be soft, but overall, really enjoyed it, and I do recommend this one. And the person that I buddy read this with said that Haley Cass does like epilogue books to talk about what's going on with the characters like a few years later. I'm really hoping for one of those. Then The Sea Witch. I spoke about this recently in one of my vlogs. I gave it a 3.5 stars and it was digital. The first half I really enjoyed. It was just the second half for me, just some things weren't explained. It seemed to be going a little bit too quickly towards the end. Concepts that could have been introduced earlier into the book as well. This is the story of Avril and the Sea Witch, and this is a Little Mermaid retelling where the villain gets the girl instead, and the prince sucks. And he really sucks in this one. Yeah. I would like to read another book from this author though, because I like the fact that it's villain retellings, and see maybe if I enjoy that one a little bit more. And we have Brianna and Bear, Once Upon a Time, a 4-star read for me. I read this physically, and this is a graphic novel about a university called Once Upon a Time University, which sounds really cute, and it is a Beauty and the Beast retelling. The illustration this were absolutely stunning, and I also didn't know that this was a webtoon series that's now being traditionally published, so I need to go and get the next book for this series. Yeah, I recommend this one. It was just a cute, quick read. I can't wait to find out more backstory for the characters. And then finally, I read Fever Dream. This was a 5-star read. I'm very happy that I had a 5-star read this month. I read this on audiobook and digitally, switching between the two. I think that's the first time that I've done that, and I really enjoyed it. And it is about a professional bull rider, Emmett, and his family farm is really struggling. They're about to go into bankruptcy. He needs money fast. He gets approached by his agent who says, how about you do this show called Romance Ratch, which is basically a bachelor type dating show. So he accepts. He doesn't want to do it, but he goes for it. Now let's enter Julia Silver. So her brother is Emmett's biggest rival. She is the little sister, and she's off limits to him. He's like, no, I can't be dating my rival's little sister. However, we know that's not going to work out. That's not going to work out. They go to fall for each other. They start off like with a mutual dislike. Their banter is so good. and just seeing their romance blossom. But also they need to hide any romance because Julia needs this job and she needs a reference from the director if she's going to kickstart her career in Hollywood, because it is her biggest dream. Emmett can't break his contract. He can't date anyone for a whole year after the show until it's all aired. Drama ensues. This one was just so good from start to finish, and it was a live duet audiobook, another thing that I haven't listened to before, and it was so great. I absolutely loved it. So that is everything that I read in June. Thank you so much for watching, and please remember these are all my own opinions. Just because I gave a book a low star rating doesn't mean that it is a bad book, air quote bad book, because someone else might absolutely love these books. There's mixed reviews for all of these books that I have mentioned. For example, Fever Dream was a 5-star read for me, but for other people that was a 2-star read. I think that's something that is really interesting about the bookish community, is just how different our opinions can be and the different things that we can take from reading the exact same books. Please let me know what your favourite book was in June. Please let me know if you've read any of these books. Were our ratings similar? Have a fantastic day, and I hope that we all have a brilliant reading month in July. See you soon, everybody. Have a lovely week. Bye.